Assalamu alaikum. It's me, Anna here. I'm back. I haven't talked to you all in so long. I hope you can hear me. I gotta talk kind of low because I have my baby and she's asleep. So I'm gonna give you an update on the pregnancy, the end of the pregnancy, and also my birth story, inshallah. So, a lot has happened. I didn't talk for a long time because when I got to 31 weeks, I went into preterm labor. So I started having contractions, and I wasn't sure were they real or were they Braxton Hicks, but they wouldn't go away. So I was contracting all day, and I drank a lot of water, and I took a nap, and they didn't go away. So I called the midwife, and she had me go into the birth center. She checked me out. She was like, "Okay, you need to go to the hospital." So I'm like, "Okay, well, can I drive myself?" Because I drove, She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well," I stopped to get something to eat because I was like, I'm going to be at the hospital probably for a little while, but I figured I was going home that night. Anyway, I wasn't going home that night. I was dilated 4 centimeters. So they were like, "Okay, we're keeping you. We have to give you magnesium to stop the contractions, and we have to give you some steroid shots in case you deliver early, and we want to make sure the baby's lungs are developed because it's only 31 weeks. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was in the hospital. I thought that I was going home like in 24 hours because they just had to get the 2 steroid shots. They were like, "No, you're going to be here." I was in the hospital until I got to 34 weeks. So I was I was shocked, but alhamdulillah, it was all right. The nurses were very good. It's a great hospital. They have a great NICU, not newborn ICU, so it was great. They were really accommodating to my family. My mom came down early. She was planning to come down the week I was due, but or actually 2 weeks before that. But she came down early, and she was at the hospital with me. And my husband she would be there during the day, and my husband would be there at night. And so it was really good. But she stayed in, didn't have the baby and all that time. So I went home on bed rest, like serious bed rest. Only could get up to go to the bathroom. So it was really helpful that my mom was there. But it was also stressful because we were moving. So we were in the process of moving to a new apartment. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cook for myself. I couldn't clean. I couldn't pack. But alhamdulillah, my husband and my mom, really worked that all out. So we moved into our new place. And then we're thinking the baby would come any day, but she didn't come until 38 weeks and 6 days. So alhamdulillah, that's fully full term. Actually 37 weeks they say is full term, but she was practically 39 weeks. So so the birth story. So I wanted to do natural at the birth center, and with all of that time in the hospital, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to. But what happened was, because it took so long, I was able to go ahead and stick with the midwives. So I had been feeling like, okay, this is it every night. Like, okay, I'm going into labor, but I wasn't. So I was nauseated. I was, having contractions. I was, having pain because she was already head down and low. But nothing was happening. So one evening, I was having contractions. I said, well, let me just time them. And they were like 5 minutes apart. So I was like, well, let me see how long they do this. Then they switched to 10 minutes, but then I decided, let me call the midwife anyway. So I called, and so she was saying, we could wait an hour and see, or you can come in and get checked. So I was like, well, we'll wait an hour. So they slowed down, but they were still steady. So she said, well, it's up to you. I said, well, I'll come in and get checked because I want to, just be sure. Because remember, I was already 4 centimeters all this time. So we go in to get checked like 4 a.m. And I had dilated an extra centimeter. So she's like, okay, we're just going to keep you here. So it's a birth center. You just go lay down in the room. It's like a hotel room or something, bedroom. And then in the morning when we got up, she had us walk. They gave me some herbal drops to move the labor along, some castor oil, and that was it. We just, waiting for the labor to move along. I was having contractions, but, they were manageable. I could walk through them. And then as the day went on, we'd take a long walk or do the drops or do the breast pump that also gets the labor going. And as they start getting stronger, I sit on the ball, the birth ball. I wasn't really doing my hypnobirthing because I didn't practice enough, truthfully. So I was breathing, but I don't feel like I ever got into that deep, relaxed state. So I wasn't scared though. I was just, and deep down, I barely believed it was really happening because I had been in labor basically since 31 weeks. So I just kind of didn't let myself go like, this is it, you know. I knew it was probably going to happen that day, as everybody said, but so my plan was to have the baby squatting, holding onto the rope. They have a rope in the ceiling, and you can squat and hold on, but that didn't happen, of course. As we continued, we decided to get in the jacuzzi tub. Well, me, I got in the tub, and that tub really helped because that's like, I was sitting on the ball before that, and the contractions were starting to hurt, you know, a little more. But I was breathing. They were manageable. It wasn't really that bad. Got in the tub, and it was like, oh, my back feels so great. This is wonderful. So then they started getting stronger. And I was like tensing up, and they're like, you know, you gotta relax, don't tense. So my mom and my husband reminded me to breathe, do your breathing, take a deep breath. So I was doing that, but then those last contractions, like, they get really strong at the beginning, and you're like, it's hard to remember to do the breathing. But they reminded me, so I was able to do it. But by then, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because I didn't know if I was progressing. She hadn't checked me again, so I was scared that what if I'm still at 5 or 6 centimeters, and I can't keep doing this. What if this is going to go on for hours? I don't have the energy. So I was telling Mom, I can't do it. She said, you can't do it. You can do it. It'll be fine. I was like, okay. So we kept breathing. They got stronger and stronger. The midwives were out of the room by now because, you know, this part just takes a while. Oh, one thing I forgot. I had been vomiting all day long. They said that lets you know you're really transitioning then. So I had been vomiting. I had to keep having the bag. It was really gross. But so I'm vomiting still. They have me the bag, and in between contractions, it was ugh. So they had to give me an IV because, you know, I had vomited up everything. So I'm breathing. I'm trying. They're getting stronger and stronger. Finally, this contraction hits me, and I'm like, I couldn't even stay seated anymore. I had to like sit up and get on all fours in the water, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta push. And Mom was like, wait, let me get the midwife. You can't push until they tell you. But I knew it was time to push. Like, you didn't have to tell me. I could tell it's time. So I was like, okay, but I was pushing for like, so they came, that contraction was over and checked me. She's like, oh, it is time. Okay, let's do it. You know, lift your legs, start pushing. And we start pushing, and everybody's like, oh, wow, good job. I didn't believe them, though. I thought they were lying to me because they wanted me to just keep pushing. And you hear stories about people having to push for 2 hours, and I just was like, I'm too tired. There's no way I could do this for much longer. So then she was like, I can see the head. You're doing a good job. Let me get a mirror so you can see. That helped. Once I could see, then I was like, okay, I can do it. We're at the finish line. So I pushed, and I would really say the pushing, it hurts when the head comes out. They call that the ring of fire because it really burns like fire. But that's not the hard part. I think those last contractions when the baby is moving down, that's when it's more painful. Once you get to the pushing, I think you're like, hey, I just got to get through this. So the amazing thing was when my water never broke. Her head was delivered like in the sac still, the amniotic sac. So, you know, it was like, she was still turning her shoulders when it was time to come out. So, when the shoulder popped out, that's when the sac broke. But it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. So, you know, we delivered the head and pushed the shoulders out, and that was it. She was out, and I was like so elated. I don't know. You can't believe it. And everyone's like, oh, good job. You did such a good job. But I really felt like, good job? How could I do a good job? I had to do it. Like, what's I going to do? So, I mean, I guess I could have acted a fool. I could have, you know, been much worse, or screaming or yelling or carrying on or whatever. But it's kind of the thing where it was a lot of work, but I feel like congratulating me on it is like a miracle. I don't feel like I had a whole lot to do with it. I know I did a lot of work, but anyway, she's healthy. She was born April 7th. She's 6 pounds, 10 ounces, and she's 19 inches. Head full of hair. I would show her to you, but she's sleeping now, so inshallah I'll add some pictures to the video. It's been amazing. So since I was at the birth center, not the hospital, after they do all the post-work stuff, you stay there for a few hours, you know, to eat, and they check you out, check the baby, and you go home that night. So my family's like, my aunts and stuff, go home that night? I never heard of that. What are you talking about? You went home the same night. But it's a birth center, it's not the hospital. So I went home. Everything was fine. The midwives come and see you the next day. They do a house call, and then they come see you 2 days later as well. So today is 4 days after. It's the 4th day after, yeah. So the 4th day. So it's been all good. It was a little difficult the first night because she could latch on to breastfeed, but she wouldn't stay on. So she was just screaming all night, basically. But the next day she figured it out. I wasn't worried because she could latch, and I figured she'd get it together. And then the milk came in, so alhamdulillah, it's all great. But anyway, just want to share my birth story with you. I would say that I would never judge anyone if they didn't want to do natural or they couldn't do it, or breastfeeding for that matter, because that nipple pain is something else. But I just have so much more respect for women and awe of the creation of Allah, because it's a miracle and it's amazing, and it's just, I guess I never really thought really deeply about how we all get here. It's a beautiful, amazing thing. And natural childbirth, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? But it takes you to your absolute limit, and it was so intense. I wouldn't say it was just so horribly painful, you know. It was painful, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it was manageable, and it takes you, like I said, to your limit. Like, I don't feel like I could have gone any further than that. So, Allahu Alam, I didn't have to. But it was a wonderful experience, and I'm definitely changed by it. And I don't know, just wanted to share how it went. I asked for pictures, inshallah, and I'd like to see you all again. Hopefully I'll be posting more often. I'm not sure though. Talk to you later. Assalamu alaikum.